Welcome to Everything's Fine Probably, the show where the news is so messed up that even a bull running loose on the streets of Birmingham doesn't actually seem all that unlikely or far-fetched. More on that story later. This week, German scientists are using a dead enzyme to turn plastic waste back into brand new bottles. Yeah, you heard that right. The dead are doing the recycling now. So much for letting us rest in peace. Cancer researchers found that ginger root might be the new secret weapon, so if your medicine cabinet doesn't have a spice rack yet, might just be time to reconsider your life choices. And judges are being told to stop doling out short prison sentences because, surprise, they cost more than a dodgy weekend at a dirty motel and they don't work. So it might just be time to give community service a chance because apparently locking people up for a few weeks, that's not the magic fix. Strap in, folks. Everything's probably fine, but, well, let's find out. I'm joined, as always, by Shelley, and look who's come crawling back after a month away. It's Stu. Hello, hello.
Hi, I'm back, feeling good, feeling really refreshed.
Marvellous.
So,
he looks incredibly well.
I do look incredibly well, thank you. I thought that was after my massage and my wash, my Haman massage.
It's had a beautiful effect.
Yeah. It's with black soap, so they kind of rub it up and down all your skin, all your arms and your legs. And you get what's called like these skin sausages that roll off your skin. It feels good. It does feel good. And in Morocco, they say if you don't have one of these massages once a month, then you're quite dirty, really, because the shower.
Well, let me just have a.
So you won't have a good touch. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that is smooth.
Yeah.
That's a lovely smooth arm we've got here. Just to clarify, I am touching his arm, and yes, that is incredible.
What could you compare it to?
What, my arm?
The feel of your arm. Is it like sort of baby skin?
It is like baby skin, absolutely.
I would compare it to like an eel, maybe. Smooth as an eel. It has that sort of texture and that feeling. So that's how I feel, sort of quite long and slippery, I guess.
Lovely.
But after that, I went straight to Scotland on a foodie tour. I paid the most expensive per head price I've ever paid going out with a bunch of foodies.
Yeah.
£170.
Well, I hope it was a good meal.
It was nice, but
it was all right.
It was all right, but there's a few scallops, a little bit of cheese, and a bit of chowder. I
like all of those things, but I can get them for considerably less than 170 notes.
Did you not have dessert though, like a proper dessert? If I was going somewhere like that,
it was cheese. I don't really like desserts personally. I'm not a dessert fan. Are you dessert fans?
I love a dessert, absolutely.
Yeah, I've got that's my weakness.
If I don't want the full 3 courses, the starter will go so that I have room for the dessert.
I do that.
Yeah.
Actually, I could just have starter and dessert.
Yeah.
But I went with a doctor. He was quite interesting. He's very much champions the keto diet.
So, yeah.
So for breakfast, he was cooking everything with butter and eating cheese. But he has got a little podcast himself and a little app, selling the values of keto. But one morning for breakfast, he had a Bombay Bad Boy pot noodle with a Tunnocks snow cake. And he was dipping that into the pot noodle Bad Boy. I said,
"Is that keto?"
No, I said, "What about all your followers?" He said, "Well, I'm on holiday. They'll never know." So,
did you want to name the podcast? Shall we get into some news? Love some good news. Well, look, I don't know if you remember, but a few weeks ago, I brought up the topic of bottom trawling. And not just because I'm incredibly childish. And one thing we talked about at that point was the UK dragging its soggy feet on the Global Ocean Treaty. And the EU, they were going right ahead. They were signing it like a keen kid at the front of the class. It seems that the UK has finally noticed there's an ocean And in a shocking twist, they've decided to protect some of it. So this week, the government announced a ban on bottom trawling in 41 offshore marine protected areas around England, which is lovely, and only slightly undermined by the fact that bottom trawling was ever allowed in protected areas to begin with. It's like installing a burglar alarm and giving you a spare key to the local crime family. Do you know how bottom trawling works?
Yeah, I mean, during COVID, there was talk about in China because people over there rely on the coast, rely on fish and seafood and so on. And as a result of bottom trawling, there wasn't the fish there to eat. So as a result, people on the land were turning to land mammals and animals and eating such things as pangolins and so on and so forth. So it has a massive effect, not just on the sea, but also the communities that live by the sea as well. It's absolutely destructive.
Yeah, huge. It's like ploughing the seabed like you're mowing a lawn, except that instead of grass, it's 300 million year old coral reef. So the decision comes just in time for the UN World Ocean Conference, where leaders are being urged to ratify the Global Ocean Treaty, you know, the one the EU already signed weeks ago. The move coincides with Sir David Attenborough once again publicly shaming us into doing better. His new series Ocean apparently had viewers across the country yelling, "Why are we doing that to the seafloor?" in unison, just before quietly Googling what is bottom trawling. Johnny Hughes from the Blue Green
making
Foundation.
sure they had their safe search on as well.
Absolutely,
when they did
yeah.
it.
What, you know, let's hope not. But what we can do when he goes?
Wow.
Who's going to have that much influence?
Absolutely, it's a scary thing.
We need to keep him alive at all costs.
Yeah, no, I hope that a lot of money is being pumped into making sure that David Attenborough does another 99 years.
Excellent.
I just mentioned Johnny Hughes from the Blue Marine Foundation. He called it a positive step, but he added that conservation is often full of shiny announcements with no delivery.
I wondered what you were going to say there.
Anyway, it looks like in this case we might actually be doing something useful, which in current UK policy terms is like spotting a unicorn riding a solar-powered bike through Parliament. So good news, and no, you're not dreaming. The UK might be slowly realising that marine protected areas shouldn't be code for slightly wetter Wetherspoons car park. So that's some great news, I think, to start with, and just goes to show the power of our podcast already influencing Parliament in that way. Who knew?
Who knew? Go podcast.
Yeah, go us. No, maybe not. But nonetheless, yeah, fabulous. And that's not the only good bit of news to follow up on, because we have all, I think, talked a little bit about cancer and cancer cures over the last few weeks. And I've got some good news for anyone who's ever, I don't know, eaten ginger and thought, this better be doing something useful because it's definitely not sorting out my hangover. And it turns out that it is. Scientists in Japan have discovered that an active compound in ginger root might actually help to inhibit the growth of cancer tumours. It essentially messes with their lunch. So let me explain. Researchers at Osaka Metropolitan University, who clearly didn't get the memo that ginger shots are supposed to be for yoga mums on Instagram, they've been studying a compound called EMC, found in a particular type of ginger used in South Asian cooking. And they've discovered that EMC seems to sabotage the way that cancer cells make fat, which is apparently a big deal because cancer cells are proper fat junkies. Not chips and donuts fat, but molecular energy generating fat. Now, normally they make their own fat from scratch or de novo, if you feel like showing off. They need loads of energy to grow and spread, and fat, it turns out, gives them more bang for their metabolic buck than sugar. But this ginger compound walks in like the world's most passive-aggressive flatmate and just unplugs the deep fat fryer. So no more home-brewed fatty acids, no more cell expansion, just a really confused tumour wondering why it feels peckish and existential. And even better, when EMC blocks fat making, the cancer cells panic and switch to their backup generator, glycolysis, which is less efficient and, crucially, might make them easier to detect or to treat. So while ginger doesn't actually kill the cells outright, it softens them up for the knockout punch. Not bad. Now, so far, it's only lab tested. The implications are a bit tasty, aren't they?
What's the best way to ingest the ginger? Does it point that out, or is it just by...
Don't say ginger.
It doesn't say. I mean, it's mentioned ginger shots. So I think
sort of like drink.
I only usually have ginger shots when I'm hungover.
Okay.
I will admit it. But
and I find them hugely ineffective.
Yeah.
But they might be doing you good in other ways.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what would you do? You have one every day?
Well, it's at the moment they're still in the testing stage.
But it's an interesting development.
It certainly is. Ginger's secretly fighting cancer. Actually, it's really on brand for 2025, where root vegetables are leading the charge in oncology. It's not just ginger doing heavy lifting. The whole field of cancer research seems to be having a bit of a moment. According to a big new report by Cancer Research UK, we are officially in a golden age for cancer treatment. Survival rates in England and Wales have doubled over the last 50 years, not just because people are drinking more green tea or buying turmeric shots. There's all sorts of things forward, leaps forward in AI, in genomics, in data science. Digital tools are now reshaping how we understand and treat cancer. It's like medicine just got a massive software update and it's already showing results.
I suppose that along with better education as well.
Yeah, that's helping.
Less people smoking and better diets and
Stu,
drinking
you've brought up AI and its use in diagnostic medicine.
Yeah, for sure.
In the past.
Yeah, absolutely.
So all this stuff, it's fabulous. And we've actually had so many good news stories just in the short time we've been doing this about breakthroughs in cancer treatment. It seems like it's all coming together. There's one drug, it's called pembrolizumab.
Easy for you to say.
Apparently not. But it's now keeping head and neck cancers at bay for twice as long as older treatments. A new therapy for advanced breast cancer that's slowing things down and helping people live longer. It's not curing everything overnight, but it's extending life, it's improving quality, it's giving people more time, and that's huge. Now, the report does say we can't just sit back and sip kale smoothies. The NHS is still, as we know, under pressure. People are waiting too long for diagnosis and treatment. And progress, while real, has slowed. So it's not job done, it's more keep going, we're onto something. But still, 50 years ago, your chances of surviving cancer were half what they are now. Let's stay on the topic of medicine. Stu.
Well, a UK first again. So the UK has announced the world first in sexual health programming, a vaccine that can protect against infection by gonorrhea bacteria is to be made available in sexual health clinics across England, Scotland and Wales. And that's coming as soon as this summer.
Fantastic.
Although it can occur without notable signs of infection, for most people, gonorrhea will be experienced as a set of uncomfortable symptoms, such as pain or fluid discharge in the genitals, anus, throat, or even the eyes. If left untreated, gonorrhea can result in serious complications, including pelvic inflammatory disease, which can lead to infertility in people with wombs and ovaries.
I hope you're not laughing slightly in the background because Stuart said anus.
Well, he really emphasised it, didn't he? There's a little pause before.
It's like we've all been really grown up about it, unlike bottom trawling. And then
I mean, just reading that out, it sounds awful, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, it's horrible.
Oh, it's horrible.
And the other thing with gonorrhea, it's getting so antibiotic resistant. It's basically the terminator of STIs. So, you get into a point where it might need a vaccine just to keep it in check.
So I mentioned it's going to be launched in August. The vaccine will be offered first of all to gay men, bisexual men, and men who have sex with men. So, and that is a thing, isn't it? Because obviously, you do get people who are married and still have sex with men, but maybe don't consider themselves gay. So the abbreviation for that is GBMSM. So gay men, bisexual men, and men who have sex with men. So that's known as GBMSM, who, according to the most recent data, are the most individuals most likely to test positive in the UK. So a model produced by researchers in 2022 has suggested that a successful program of gonorrhea vaccination among GBM, SM in England at the highest risk of infection could prevent more than 10,000 cases of gonorrhea over 10 years. And crucially, and we talked about this tonight, save the NHS an estimated £8 million. The predicted cost saving of a gonorrhea vaccination programme is particularly welcome for sexual health services in the UK that have had cuts of over £1 billion since 2015. Since 2022, the Love Tank, a London-based non-profit that works to improve the health and well-being of undervalued communities, has worked hand in hand with the NHS partners to provide vaccinations against Mpox and, among other diseases, and COVID in community settings in an attempt to deliver services to people less likely to access them in clinics. So they're doing things like pop-ups at sex on premises venues, community centres, queer bars, sex shops and pride events. So looking to the people who are potentially most at risk, and then getting vaccinations out to those people who are the most vulnerable and less likely to go to a sort of a traditional clinic. The development of suitable and effective vaccines is always the first stage. Vaccines that work, biomedically speaking, require systems that work. So the next steps, we need more funding for the staff, bricks and mortar services, and continued investment in creative and effective methods for delivering services directly to the community. So I think on that, I'll bring you in there, Shelley, again. I mean, that is quite an interesting point, isn't it? Being a bit more creative rather than just people come to hospitals or surgeries, getting out in the community, and looking at certain events and so on. What are your thoughts on that?
I think like I know lots of clinicians and like specialists in certain areas, they are getting much better at looking at inequalities in health. It doesn't always sort of pay off in how like the services are presented, postcode lotteries and things, but yeah, specialists will look at health inequalities and how to access people in a different way so that would otherwise be missed. And I always love a good vaccine program, of a good vaccine rollout. You think of all the successful vaccines we've had. Yeah, that is good.
I think the article said, a vaccine is only as good as its rollout, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's crucial. And I think, in these days of a lot of negativity around some vaccines, aren't there? On the social media, there's all this misinformation, vaccine deniers. It's good actually to sort of, get these rollouts and try to show the community that they do work. They do work. Because, anti-vaxxers, there's always an agenda behind that, isn't there?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But you're quite right, a vaccine's great, but if you can't get an appointment to actually get it, really, you're just putting a band-aid on a broken condom, aren't you? Still, progress, I would say.
I mean, that actually brings me on to my next health story. So this is a non-hormonal male contraceptive implant. This lasts at least 2 years in trials. And I think I saw on the chat earlier, Shelley, you said about bloody time.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I think so, 2 years. So about a quarter of marriages end in separation after 2 years. This is a contraception that lasts longer than a lot of marriages.
So this product's known as Adam, and it's implanted in the sperm ducts, and it could offer a reversible alternative to condoms and vasectomies. An implantable non-hormonal male contraceptive has been shown in trials to last for at least 2 years. So It's a long time. The contraceptive is water-soluble hydrogel that is implanted in the sperm ducts, preventing sperm from mixing with semen. The company behind the product is Australian. They're called Trawling, and the approach offers a reversible alternative to condoms and vasectomies, with the gel designed to break down in the body after a set period of time, which then restores fertility. Trawling has released details of its phase 1 clinical trial, revealing Adam can successfully block the release of sperm for 24 months, with no sperm detected in the semen of the participants who part in the trial. In addition, it is said to have no serious adverse events so far. The implant is inserted in a minimally invasive procedure that takes about 10 minutes and uses local anaesthetic. Adam is not the first male contraceptive in development that acts by blocking the sperm ducts, but other implants are using materials that do not break down in the body, and there is little data to show fertility was restored after these were removed. So with Adam, you have the implant for 2 years, and then after that, the aim is your fertility then returns. And it's exciting that it can be a strong contraceptive option for men currently who've got a choice of a pill or a patch or injectables or surgery. So phase 2 starts in Australia later this year with 30 to 50 participants. So would you have that, Jim?
I mean,
would you have a into your sperm ducts?
I mean, I probably
would you have an implant in your sperm ducts?
I mean, I probably wouldn't bother now.
Right.
But when I was younger, I mean, if the evidence was there that it was safe, then yeah, probably would.
I think, I mean, given how I think that sounds, as it's quite minimally invasive, sort of compared to the very invasive contraception that women have to use, like coils and implants that also have to be removed again and replaced. So yeah, I think that sounds actually like quite a nicer option in some situations. So also, especially because of the like hormonal nature for a lot of like some women don't like tolerate things like progesterone implants and things like that, and then it limits your options down. And so if you're, I mean, I think it's probably only a good, safe, reliable form of contraception for people who are like in a relationship. But it's just giving you another option, hasn't it? It's really good. It's like, yeah, you're if you're struggling with contraception as a woman, then your partner can possibly be the one who goes and has an implant done. So
yeah, and I was reading around it a little bit. They're looking at developing home tests as well, because it's not just going to magically run out on 2 years on the dot.
Suddenly go.
So there will be other pieces you can use to check, because you might think, well, I'm within the 2 years, but I guess it's going to differ to, a few weeks, months for different people. So, but yeah, it's an interesting development.
Yeah, it certainly is. Let's stay with science now, because I've got some good news about plastic for you that doesn't involve turning it into a tote bag that nobody asked for.
Can I just say on that, I'm prepared for this, but I did read that I think it's like 8 or 9 out of 10 men now do have microplastics in their sperm. But microplastics are everywhere, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely.
So anything we can do to get rid of plastic.
Got to be good.
For sure.
Apparently, I heard that.
Like this, then.
What are you saying, Shelley?
Oh, sorry. I heard the toothbrush that you used as a child is probably still out there somewhere.
What, mine? Just my toothbrush?
Yeah, your toothbrush.
Okay.
My toothbrush.
He's still using it. Never thrown it away.
How do you know my toothbrush looks?
Oh, you've still got a tiny little toothbrush.
Who told you about Stu's toothbrush?
How do you know? How do you know what it looks like? It's got noddy on it. Big ears. Bloke with the sea.
Well, it's nice to know it's still around, actually. That's what I find. Suddenly it's then a touching, heartwarming story.
Well, I didn't know it was, but Shelley seems to know where it
Shelley's
is.
I've been tracking your toothbrush since you were 5.
I'd say a little bit creepy.
I'm going to get very careful about how I dispose of my toothbrushes now I know about this. Let's move off of Shelley's weird fetishism.
Being creepy.
This week, scientists in Germany have taken an enzyme that they discovered in a cemetery and they've developed it into a near market ready solution for recycling plastic. That's right, a cemetery enzyme, proof if nothing else that the afterlife now includes a part-time job in waste management.
But it's a cemetery enzyme to get it off the gravestone, or is it in the ground?
You get it out of the ground.
Okay. Is it actually from graves?
Yeah.
Well, let me explain. So this enzyme, it's got the very sci-fi name of PHL7. It was first spotted back in 2022 by researchers in Leipzig, where apparently...
Leipzig.
You say potato, I say Leipzig. Where apparently even the graveyards are doing more for the environment than half of Europe's petrochemical industry. So at the time, it broke down PET plastic, that's the stuff used in drink bottles, by 90%. And since then, they've turbocharged it. The new version works faster, hotter, harder, uses only tiny amounts to do its job. It is the Jason Statham of bioenzymes. The scientists have set up a company. It's called Ester Biotech, and it aims to go from bathtub-sized reactors next year to stadium-sized ones by 2030, capable of breaking down 45,000 tonnes of plastic a year. That's nearly every empty Evian bottle in Europe.
So is this like a living organism?
Yeah.
And it eats plastic?
It eats plastic. So unlike your traditional recycling methods, yeah, it is, because most things they either melt plastic into sad, lower quality plastic or vaporise it into what I assume some sort of ghost plastic. PHL7 breaks it down into pristine monomers, and that means you can make brand new plastic without it being flimsy in the government pledge on net zero. Also, get this, the enzyme's stable from freezing to almost boiling. So from 0 degrees right up to 95 degrees Celsius. And it can even handle composite plastics. That's the stuff that usually gets filed under too hard, incinerate it out, no one asks.
Forever plastics.
Yeah. So that's a literal molecule from a graveyard, and it's currently doing more for recycling than the British government.
Does that mean we'd need less oil?
Well, yeah, because here's the thing. At the moment, a lot of people, we manufacture new plastic because it's cheaper than recycling what we've got, and it produces something that's better. But this is brilliant because the enzyme is cheap enough to rival making virgin plastic.
And all we have to do is make sure we keep dying and getting buried.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, Christian Sonnedecker, it's a great name. It sounds like a Bond villain. He said this could bring materials that are currently burned back into the cycle at a molecular level.
So do the enzymes come from bodies, do you think?
I mean, I don't know that.
Well, I guess it must do.
Maybe it's from ectoplasm of ghosts.
Well, look, it says a lot about the state of things when the dead are doing more to fix the climate than the living. I mean, if you're not being haunted, it might be because the ghosts are too busy running pilot projects and writing EU grant applications. It's always the same, isn't it? You die, you expect a bit of rest, maybe a harp, cloud, quiet chat with St. Peter, but oh no. Next thing, you're either teaching misers to mend their ways, or you're an enzyme breaking down Evian bottles in a lab reactor. I mean, the ghost gig economy is booming. And they're outperforming most governments.
Can't we ever retire, ever?
No, absolutely not.
You know, I guess, I don't know what the statistics are, but are most people cremated these days? I mean, because that's really bad for the climate, isn't it? As, the CO2 released. So we should probably go back to
burial.
We should probably go back to that, shouldn't we?
Yeah.
You know.
And if we're really lucky, maybe science is going to stumble on a haunted yeast that makes carbon neutral croissants or something, or a possessed bin that sorts your recycling properly because no one else seems to be able to do it.
I would like a bin that takes my rubbish out to the outside bins.
Sounds like a job for the University of Bath.
Remember could do that.
Yeah. I mean,
God, it could.
I mean, you could start body farms, couldn't you? So you could farm dead bodies to get these enzymes. I mean, that's probably a good business opportunity.
It sounds like an episode of Black Mirror.
No, but that is what you're going to have to do, isn't it? And
well, hopefully not, because it's already working, and so provided we keep these enzymes keep being produced,
rather than scratch and rag graveyards. Let's get a farm and let's do it on a.
You probably need the graves, like the cemetery, environment. It needs to be the right. That's probably like the Goldilocks environment.
More research.
It needs to be like
I feel like
holy ground.
If we can, I mean, I think it's a great story, but this is taking a very dark turn.
I think
Stuart's back.
I think you're onto something with these body farms. I really do.
And we'll move on. Something a little bit different from the sciencey stuff we've been talking about, or nerds, as you would call us.
Yeah, I'm going to take it away from body farms and ghost enzymes and tell you about the We Do Not Care Club. And
what is this? What's the We Do Not Care Club?
This has been started by a woman called Melanie Sanders, who is from Florida in the States, and she has started she's basically got a TikTok, Instagram that's called Just Being Melanie, and within this she has started a club for menopausal and perimenopausal women, so that we can all find a safe place and be in agreement on all the things that we do not care about. And it's funny, it's very witty. She, on her videos, she's always just, I don't know, she'll be in like pajamas and she'll always have at least 3 pairs of glasses attached to her somewhere. And yeah, she will just do a regular announcement on what we currently do not care about. So I was going to try and share a video which didn't go very well, but I'm handing it over to like our tech person now, Stuart, to just try and play you one of her videos.
Okay, let's look to get some of Melanie Sanders on.
Hello, and welcome to our new and existing members of the We Do Not Care Club. I started this club for all women going through perimenopause and menopause. We are simply putting the world on notice that we no longer care anymore. I would like to go ahead and get started on our announcements for today. We do not care if we washed your socks and drawers inside out. That is how you left them, and that is how you will receive them back. We do not care if something is not dishwasher safe. It is now and will be from now on. We do not care if the cashier at Popeyes automatically gave us the senior discount. 93 cents is 93 cents. We do not care if the closed captioning is annoying on the TV screen. This helps us stay focused. We do not care if we were using the flashlight on our phone to look for our phone. We do not care if the house is clean when you come over. Also, don't come over. This concludes our announcements.
So, Shelley, we don't care, right?
Yeah, we don't care. So she's done some really said some really funny things that actually really spoke to me. Like she said, we don't care if something's not dishwasher safe. It is now. And the other one that she said I really liked was when she said, we don't care if we don't have a summer body. I don't owe summer a different body. And she just says all of these things that are they are funny, a lot of the things she says, but they're also very true, and just sort of focusing on the things that it's probably not so much we don't care, it's just sort of asking, why do we have to care?
That's a key thing. I think somewhere along the line we got conned into thinking that perfection was the entry fee for being respected. You had perfect hair, perfect glam, perfect sourdough, and perfection. It's exhausting and it's unachievable, and it's
she actually now has over 1 million followers for this. Like, as soon as she started this We Do Not Care Club, it just really took off. It even got noticed by Oprah Winfrey, and she spoke about it on her show.
So it's obviously resonating, isn't it?
Yeah.
Embracing imperfection is not giving up, is it? It's freedom. It's the joy of just not apologising for who you are and what you do.
Yeah, exactly. That was
Studies also show people who are being self-compassionate in the way that Melanie is, and who accept their flaws and treat themselves kindly, they experience less anxiety, less depression, and they recover faster from setbacks. It's science-backed meh. And we've talked about this, haven't we, in the last couple of podcasts. It came out last week when we were talking to Dan about this, being good to yourself. Let's move it along. Let's talk about judges and community service and stuff like that, shall we?
So this is pulled this from the Guardian end of last month. So this is about Labour looking at the judiciary and prison capacity. They seem to be looking at quite liberal solutions rather than this bang them up, throw away the key. They're looking at different ways and different solutions because prisons are full.
Reform supporters will be gnashing their teeth.
Absolutely. They wouldn't be liking this at all. But this has happened. Judges and magistrates in England and Wales have been told to move away from handing out short custodial sentences in favour of a community-based alternative. Amid concern the criminal justice system could collapse because of overcrowding in prisons, the former Tory Justice Secretary David Gorp has called for suspended sentences to be made available for custodial sentences of up to 3 years instead of 2 years. So basically what that means is people don't go to prison, but during that period they've got to behave themselves. If they commit any crime during that period, then they will go to prison. Currently it's 2 years. They want to push that to 3 years. Also, magistrates have been encouraged to defer sentencing for some offenders. So what that means is they'll defer sentencing someone for like 6 months, typically to see if that person can look to, maybe change behaviours, get help, get some support. Maybe it could be like, pregnant women might be able to access some healthcare. People also, with substance dependencies as well. So these offenders who can spend less time in prison and in the community will typically be burglars, shoplifters, and criminals convicted of assault. There will be no exemption from suspended or deferred sentences for sexual and domestic abusers. Which is obviously very important. Any sentence and decision will remain within the discretion of the judges. So giving people the opportunity to address the root cause of their behaviour while under supervision in the community will help ease the prison capacity crisis, but reduce reoffending, cut crime. Well, let's see, make our streets safer. The expansion of suspended sentences enforced through suspended sentence orders could free up to more than 1,000 prison places every year. Ministry of Justice are saying 59% of adults release, having spent 12 months or less in prison, reoffended within a year. That figure rises to 62% for those with custodial sentences of 6 months or less. So in contrast, the reoffending rate for offenders who received a suspended sentence requirement is only 25%. So what it's basically saying is if you give shorter sentences and people go to prison, they're more likely to offend. So the idea is let's get them out in the community. Let's have a look at, can they resolve some of these, issues they've got, and they're less likely to offend and go back to prison. So,
well, I think what it suggests is sending them to prison isn't working.
Well, it isn't.
It's not doing what it needs to do. So it costs billions of pounds. It wrecks that person's future, and it doesn't actually work.
But actually going to prison for a shorter time is worse than going for 12 months or longer. So basically saying if you go to prison for anything less than 6 months, you're probably more likely to offend again. So it's a creative solution, and like you said, it's not one the reform voters necessarily are going to be up for, but these are some of the creative decisions that need to be looked at and addressed, because we're not going to be building any more prisons. Crime isn't going to go down, so I would say that that's positive.
Can you remember when they had that, where the open prison is in Norwich, and they had that cafe? The open prison had the cafe. I lived around the corner from it, and they did make really nice cakes.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, that didn't end well, did it? Because the person who ran those cafes actually defrauded the government to get all those grants, and she actually ended up in the Crown Court and went to prison. But I think also, deferred sentences, suspended. Pregnant women, for instance, can now hopefully avoid the trauma of giving birth in a prison, and hopefully, they can get access to healthcare, housing support, and it might mitigate the impact of the conviction on the mother and the baby. So that it's creative thinking. If, as I said, if an offender does not apply the conditions, then they'll be brought back to court. So deferred sentencing allows probation officers to intervene with low-level offenders and drug addicts and so and is that a good place for drug addicts to go to prison? Probably not, is there? And it just gives people the opportunity to be signposted towards services. And let's give them a chance to reform. Let's give them a chance, because I don't think prison is a reforming experience.
Well, the stats don't back up that it is, certainly. So, it's good, I think, to see some other alternatives being looked at.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's turn on to something that may cheer reform voters up, because Shelley, you've got some positive news from reform.
Yeah, going from one subject of reform to another. Yeah, Reform UK are backing plans brought forward by MPs from across lots of parties. Well, I'm saying lots of parties. We have only a small number of parties, but they want to provide every new home across England with at least one Swift brick. Do you know what a Swift brick is?
They'll only sanction wildlife nesting in your walls, but not so much your mate who came here with a job offer.
What's a Swift brick?
The Swift brick will leave an opening in the building for swifts who are cavity nesting birds. So it is basically just like a little letterbox size hole in bricks that you just put at the top of your building. And they want at least one per building, but some people might have more. So Richard Tice from Reform was a former housing developer. So he has said that his MPs would support the bill. But this was previously rejected by Conservatives and Labour, who are now backtracking. Well, that Labour did support it, but they are now backtracking on it. Now they're in power. So now Reform are unironically supporting migrants.
Oh dear! What the irony? The
irony. Nigel will not be happy.
But don't worry, you don't have to vote for them.
Okay.
The bill is also being heavily supported by Greens and Lib Dem.
Oh, for sure. So, why do we need more Swifts?
They're endangered.
Oh, are they? Okay.
They are, yes. So we need more Swift homes.
Okay. I would think that should be a fairly straightforward rollout, wouldn't it? I wouldn't.
I mean, it's kind of like one less brick, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it does seem to have been debated for quite a while. This, hasn't it? And it's been around Parliament for a few years. I think, you're quite right. It's quite fun and ironic, this one, because if we tally up Reform's stance on immigration, They want a freeze on it. They want higher national insurance and deportation. Net zero, they'd like to scrap it and oil up the North Sea. But bird bricks, absolutely, totally on board with birds
Yeah.
have homes. It's great. Progress of a kind. Birds get homes. Public utility operators get second chances. Migrant workers, not so much.
Well, I think that's actually a nice story. I think they should do that.
I think so. Let's hope that the Swifts appreciate that. Let's hope they appreciate the irony. Maybe we can send a few of them over to Parliament to explain the concept of hospitality.
Ooh.
And that's not.
I like how this story's like been more controversial.
This is escalated.
It's not our only animal-related story of the
Really?
week either, is it, Shelley?
More animal stories.
It isn't. So, do you want some news from Norfolk?
You are.
I would love it, boy.
That's all right, isn't it?
Oh, you do know what's going on around you.
I think that'd be right nice. Go on.
Is it about lambs?
Well,
Lamb news.
Well, no. What
Yeah,
we've got
it's
here
bull
is bull news.
bull news flash, farm
Bull
animal
news.
news flash. Okay, so this story actually started in Birmingham, where there was a runaway bull that had to be detained on the streets of Digby by the police. Oh, sorry, Digbeth, not Digby, Digbeth. So what they think is it actually escaped from a backstreet abattoir, which I didn't actually know they had backstreet abattoirs.
There was such a thing.
I know. I'm surprised I didn't pick that up with lamb news.
Yeah.
All the grim things I could have discovered around lamb news.
I mean,
But yeah, I mean, look, things are bad when even livestock's trying to flee Birmingham.
yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
So tell us more about this.
So the good
that
news.
sounds quite exciting, doesn't it? A backstreet abattoir, doesn't it?
Yeah, backstreet abattoir. It sounds quite mafia, doesn't it? Yeah, it's
Well, hopefully
basically.
it's more mafia than the Backstreet Boys, who definitely were not.
And it must have been crazy that there was a bull running around on the streets, like
You
just.
have got the bull ring, haven't you, in Birmingham?
Well, that's true. Maybe that's
Maybe,
what
it might have escaped from there. But the good news is though that the bull was taken 170 miles away to the safety of the Hillside Sanctuary in Frettenham in Norfolk.
Oh,
That's how it's a Norfolk story.
Oh, I see.
That's lovely. I mean, I did pick up on this. Apparently, the sanctuary said that he'll be castrated soon. So
Yeah,
it just goes to show that even when you escape capitalism, you can't escape consequences.
but that means he can socialise though, because they said he's having to be kept on his own. What I really liked about it is that they've called the bull Liam. Because that's a really typical bull name, isn't it?
They've named him after Liam Manning, haven't they? The new Norwich City manager, formerly of several clubs. He didn't seem to stay anywhere very long. But I don't know why. Why
is it because he's been castrated at any time in his life?
I don't know. Can we get fact checking on that?
I think.
Or he escaped from an abattoir, a backstreet abattoir.
Liam Manning did.
Manning from backstreet abattoir. Why can't they give this bull one of these transplants in the space?
Oh, well, yeah, that's worth thinking about, isn't it? I mean, I don't know. The manager of the sanctuary has said, though, that he will have a wonderful life here with no worries whatsoever.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Apart from being castrated. So I'm just Googling, has Liam Manning been castrated?
Okay.
Or did he escape from an abattoir?
No, I mean, he was dismissed on the 11th of December 2022 after a poor start to the season, but I don't think they castrated him.
I think you should.
So I think he's all right.
I think you should read out the AI at the top.
It's not available on the search, sadly.
Yeah. So,
do you think there's
we beat AI? Yes.
Even AI just doesn't know what to make of that question.
Well, did you ask the abattoir one as well?
Oh, what was that? Sorry, what? How do you escape from a backstreet abattoir? Okay, let's give it a question. I'll just do it first. So,
is an AI a wonderful thing?
Is he halal friendly?
I am doing this on a voice search, so you've really confused it now.
Oh, sorry.
All right.
Did Liam Manning escape from a backstreet abattoir? I don't think so. Well, AI Overview says yes. A boy called Liam who was found loose. So I think it's slightly misunderstood. So no, I don't think Liam Manning himself. No. So I don't know why he's been named after Liam Manning. Certainly, there's no evidence he's been castrated or that he escaped from a backstreet abattoir. But we wish him well for the new season.
We do.
And
Liam the Bull.
Liam the Bull well in Frettenham.
Yeah.
Who escaped burgers. He escaped burgers.
He's done well.
There are now lots of like empty lightly toasted buns with no burger in them.
Yeah.
So good news for vegetarians.
The Liam no Liam burgers. So I've touched your arm there.
I liked it.
That was after my massage.
It's so smooth.
Oh,
It's so smooth.
Well,
Well, anyway, that's it.
Thanks, man.
That's it for this week's episode of Everything's Fine, probably, where the news is weird, the bulls roam free, and Ginger fights cancer like a spicy ninja. If you enjoyed this, do the digital equivalent of a backflip and smash that subscribe button. Give us a like if you want to feel better about your life choices. Share it with that one friend who needs a laugh. You know the one. And follow us on social media where we pretend we're way cooler than we actually are.
Yeah, we have 0 followers at the moment because
excellent. Maybe you could be the first. Yeah, I don't. You know, we're not your mum. But if you don't, Liam the Bull might come for you. Got that look about him. I think he might do.
We've got followers on Podbean. Listen to us on Podbean.
Fabulous. Yeah, you can listen to us on Podbean. You can listen to us on Apple. You can listen to us on Spotify. You can listen to us wherever you get your podcasts from, but not Apple Music. But most of them, and not YouTube, because you don't want to have to see us. Anyway, look, thanks, Stu. Thanks, Shelley. Catch you next time now. Go forth, spread kindness like it's glitter at a unicorn party, and remember, everything's fun. Probably.